Okay, I hope this one is a little shorter. I'm sorry, I blabbed on a little bit too much in the part one. So these are theories of changes. Um, and again, we've got 5 theories of why society changes or how a society changes. A is evolutionary theory of change. So we've talked about evolution and how things change for the better, and I know evolution is controversial. Um, Whatever. Okay, that societies move from simple to sophisticated. And I think we can see that in Canadian society. I would think in 1900, life was a lot more simple then compared to it is in 2014. Um, it's just very complicated with social media and cultural mixing and world politics. It just seems a much more complicated and sophisticated world. But evolutionary theorists suggest society's main goal is based on their ability to move forward and improve living conditions. So in terms of physical labor, again in 1900, I would think most of Canadian society was exerting a lot of physical effort to feed themselves, to keep their shelters warm and stuff. But on a given day in Canadian society, how many people exert physical effort in order to survive, or even in their workplace? So, in terms of living conditions, in terms of physical effort, in terms of indoor plumbing, in terms of sanitation, I think our living conditions have improved immensely. I can't picture myself living in 1900. I don't like to get dirty. I like indoor plumbing. And I, yeah, it kind of scares me. Now, will society continue to improve? Um, I don't know. Or are we just working, are we going to work longer hours and maybe not retire, unlike our parents and grandparents? B is the cyclical, like a cycle, the cyclical theory of change, and says that societies will essentially go through certain seasons of ebb and flow. Essentially, that there's a beginning, there's a spring, there's a summer, then things start to decline in fall and die off in winter, but then are reborn again. And if you look at some of the economic upturns and downturns since World War One, you can see the kind of ebb and flow of the economy, of recessions, of depressions, of good times, of great times, and then this economy starts to kind of stagnate or decline. Um, and then cyclical theory of change also suggests certain values and fashions will fade away and return. And I don't know, I see that quite a bit. The mullet was quite big in the late 80s and early 90s, but now it's coming, well, maybe it's kind of ending, but it's the idea of hockey hair, of having flow. Um, we see jogging pants coming back. Will there be a day where bell bottoms and tie-dyed shirts come back? Will overalls come back? And if you talk to, you know, a more senior teacher, they may have seen these fashions come and go. Uh, I find it very interesting, and I wonder if certain communities within all of our students here, if certain trends are different, or if Renfrew is stuck in the past, or if Arnprior is ahead of its time. I don't know. It'd be an interesting comparison. C is the challenge and response theory, is that the idea that a society, sorry, it's the challenge and response theory. I'm going too fast. This is the idea that society is based on ideas around responding to a challenge. So, a challenge right now is that Canadians' life expectancy is very high, and our social systems are being challenged because our life expectancy is so high, and that we are retiring and having a long retirement life, how are we going to support this as the baby boomers retire? Well, they've raised the pension age from 65 to 67. Are they going to eventually increase our premiums of how much we have to pay in to get our Canada pension, or will Canada pension eventually disappear? Um, is there methods of population control, which is a very callous idea, but now we're seeing the Liberal Party and the provincial uh, government in Quebec talking about euthanasia. Will that save money long term? And I know that's callous, but I just want you to think about that. D is the functionalist theory of change, and again, it's very similar to the functionalist school of thought. When you think functionalism, you think what's the function or what's not working. So this is the functionalist theory of change. Much like the school of thought, they will study how social institutions provide a purpose or provide stability for society's members. What is the purpose of the education system? The education system in 1900 was essentially to teach people how to read and write, but now has it evolved? Is the purpose of education to teach, of the education system now to teach morals? Is it to teach how to parent? And some people have a problem with that, saying it shouldn't be teachers' jobs. Um, they look for the purpose. And what is the purpose of a given institution? And finally, the last one is the conflict theory of change. And this one's very comparable to the neo-Marxist school of thought. This is the conflict theory of change. Neo-Marxism says there's two groups of people, the rich, which are the bourgeoisie, and the poor, which are the proletariats. And they say that policies are made to benefit the rich and oppress the poor. The little difference with the conflict theory of change is that they call it's the people not necessarily with money, but it's the people with authority, and they call that the command class over the obey class. But I would think personally that most people in authority have money, um, for the most part. So I don't know how different it is from the neo-Marxist theory. So the idea that the rich or the command class dominates the poor or the obey class, and that a lot of policies benefit the rich, benefit the command class, and oppress or suppress the poor class or the obey class. Okay, good. I got that one under 9 minutes. That is the second part, theories of change.